One text, one picture, and a kid barely into his teens lost nearly a decade of his life. Not to a gang, not to drugs, not to a cell phone that was sitting in his pocket at school. Y'all need to sit with this one real quick because it happened in the community we had just moved away from to kids my own son came up with. And there's the story the newsroom told. Then there's the part they left on the cutting room floor. Listen, I'm going to give you both. How about that? I will give you both because I think both are important for two reasons. One, you need to understand things from a media standpoint, a framing standpoint, and then another from an actual real life, real happening standpoint because they're definitely not the same, okay? So, what made the news? Let's get right into it. And welcome to Control the Narrative, right? So, what made the news? What made the news? Picture Brentwood, nice East Bay suburb, the kind of place where folks think they are above most of the things you hear in the news, right? They think this can't happen to them. Well, it did. The reporting said it touched 16 students across four different middle schools. It started with girls sending pictures of themselves to boys. Those pictures didn't stay put. They got passed from phone to phone to phone until they were just everywhere. Okay. A principal caught wind and called the police. Officers confiscated more than a dozen phones and started pulling images off of each one of them. And once the police were pulling child images off of kids' phones, we weren't talking about kids being kids anymore. Okay. We're talking about felonies because that's what they are, especially in California. Distribution of child pornography. And it escalated into something even more serious that ended with a boy facing a felony charge. Let me see if I can play this for you. 1 second.
Say a boy may have used one of those photographs to convince a fellow student to perform a sex act at school. NBC Bay Area's Kimberly Terry is live in Brentwood with the latest on the case and really this whole teen sexting trend.
Yeah, Jessica, police say sexting is becoming a bigger issue as more kids get connected with cell phones and the internet. And in this case, we're talking about kids 14 years old and under.
I am shocked. I'm very shocked. They're so young. And I don't.
Not sure what happened there. It's buffering. Let me see if it'll come back on. Well, listen, we're not going to spend too much time on that because I want to get you through all of the important things. Okay. So again, a principal caught wind. Officers started confiscating phones, and obviously, it made the news because, well, people started getting pulled in by police. So that's the version that hit the local news, and then it disappeared. It just disappeared. Now let me tell you what I know. Okay, let me tell you what I know, and I can give you the link if you want to go watch the whole thing. And honestly, if you search it up, there's plenty of video out there about this situation. There's a lot of media coverage. It was when it first happened, and then there's some follow-up things that took place later. But we had just packed and moved to Southern California, okay? Right before the whole thing blew up. My son had been on the basketball team at Adams Middle School in Brentwood. They had just won a championship. And his friend group, they were all athletes, the popular kids, the ones everybody was watching. And what the news kind of squashed into 16 students was really a whole culture. These pictures were free flowing. The girls were taking them and sending them to the boys, and the boys were passing them around to each other across multiple schools, okay? Like it was nothing. Like there was no such thing as consequences. The way I understand it, the whole thing cracked open over a fight on campus. Two girls were about to get into it at Adams, and one threatened to expose the other's pictures to an adult, and the second, an adult knew about it. The dominoes started falling apart. Phones got snatched. Kids uh, got called into the office one by one. So the girl was feeling like she was feeling threatened. So she went to the office, she told, and then it escalated from there. And here's where I have my problem. When those consequences came down, they didn't come down evenly. Okay. Some of these kids had parents that were law enforcement, that were officers. They had families that were connected. And funny how that works, most of them walked away with a slap on the wrist. But my son's best friend, they buried him. His phone had the most serious material on it, and he became the example. 111 months he was sentenced to juvenile justice. DJJ is what they call it, and had to register as an offender. Okay? Register as an offender. Do I think it's an accident that the one kid who lost everything was a black boy? He's the brother of an NBA player in a community where the protected families were. Do I think it's a coincidence? Absolutely not. I do not believe it's a coincidence. I believe they made an example out of him. His brother played in the NBA, so this was a name, okay? It was a very popular name in the Bay Area, a family with a spotlight on it. I believe somebody wanted their message to land and land loudly. Meanwhile, the kids with a badge in the family, they went right back to doing what they were doing and living their lives like nothing ever happened. And my son, even though we were already 300 miles away from there, even though he had nothing to do with how it ended, he carried survivor's guilt over what had happened to his friend. While he was living his best life all through high school into college, he had survivor's guilt. That's the part nobody warns you about. This stuff doesn't stay in one zip code or in one household. It follows these kids into who they become. It follows them, it stays with them when those consequences come down. Now, let me tell you what I was already doing before any of this ever went down. I used to sit my son down in my chair at my desk and make him read laws from my screen. I would let him watch me pull them up, California laws, phone laws, and I would make him read them out loud. Not me preaching at him, the law itself in black and white. So he knew his mom wasn't making it up or just trying to scare him. Sexting, child pornography, what counts and what it costs. I wanted him to know that, not just by me saying it, but by him reading it, because I needed him to understand something. One girl, one moment he didn't think all that much about could cost him his whole future. I know how forward some of these young girls can be. I know that. Actually, boys and girls. But I got another story for y'all about these young girls because, whew, let me tell you. And I needed him, my son, to know that the laws do not care that you're 15 or 14 or whatever. Nobody was giving you a break. Well, if you're not connected, they're definitely not giving you a break. But this stuff can take your future away because here's the truth. And it weighs heavily on my shoulders and my chest. Every single kid in this thing was somebody's child. The girls, the boys, all of them. And when it all went sideways, only some of them got treated like children worth protecting. And listen, I've got many stories because I have 4 kids. All of them are athletes. Their friends have come to the house and talked to me and my husband about a lot of things. I was also a coach of young teenage girls. Some of the things they got into, some of the things we had to deal with. I got stories. Uh-oh. I got stories for days, okay? I got stories for days. Stories that never end. And all of them are behavioral preventative stories that caused an immense amount of pain once it all hit uh, authorities. Okay. But you got to subscribe. I want you to hit the bell because y'all know I go live. I go live most of the time. I don't schedule a lot. I just go live when I have a moment, when I have an idea, when I have a thought. And that bell is how you find out when I drop these. Okay. So what do you think about this? You know, I guess I could go in more detail about what happened. Basically, the pictures of them. How do I say this? The pictures of them were in the boys' bathroom at the school. And once those pictures came out, they made it seem like he forced her to cut school and go in the bathroom and perform fellatio. Now, listen, both of them are wrong, but only one of them got in trouble. Okay. On top of the fact that they had been together before. I need you to understand the power is with the parents and who they're plugged in with and who they have backing them, and the parents that may not have that type of backing. And those are the ones that lose. But the truth of the matter is, whether you have power backing you or not, these are things that can change your child's future forever. Okay. And that actually is the part that weighs heavily on me. No matter how it turns out, once these things get put in motion, they impact your child forever. Because I'm telling you, both of their futures have been messed with. They've been altered. Okay. They've definitely been altered. So it's always better to be preventative and stay on top of these things and have the tough conversations. I always say I love to simplify complex issues through conversation, and we have to have those conversations with our kids. So, what are your thoughts about this? Put them below. I would love to hear your thoughts. I read them, I'll respond. The boy got 111 months and a lifetime label while everybody else got to grow up and go on with their lives. But they're all still pretty bothered about this. This is probably going to bother me forever. So I'll keep speaking out about what happens when we leave our kids to their own vices. And I mean that literally. Their devices can be a problem if we don't do the parental thing and teach, educate, and monitor. Because if you don't control the narrative, the streets will, and it will not be in your favor. All right, guys. I'll probably do a deeper dive on this on Substack. I'm not sure. It actually weighs pretty heavy every time I talk about it, but I think it's important that you guys understand it can impact our young people and their future forever. All right, thoughts in the comments. Let me know what you think. Okay, bye.